arrive at video 3003. And you may think of some other meanings for these. You may think of some context that I don't. Some meaning for the individual elements of the meanings that I share. But here's a start. Productivity of the obliviously open to mystery. Announcing innovation, or more like reformation towards pleasure. Now, something about innovation, it's doing something outside of the box. Now, the Islamic idea that innovation is not something that the prophets do isn't saying that they're not bringing the new law and stuff for their time and place. It's saying that they're within the box of the old path. So it's not turning against science, new science, and anything like that. It's that it's not changing the rules, and that's what I mean by reformation. Is more like a way of looking at it, because you are staying to, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not going to do, this is right, this is wrong, that sort of thing. What you think you don't deserve. And let's be honest, we think we deserve, no matter how hard we work, everybody gets more than they deserve, better than they deserve in one way or another. Reluctance. A worthy purpose is, there. Need unfulfilled in multiple ways related to depth. Too many shallow people in life, really. Abundance of help. Extra wealth. Now, since the first religious tradition I mentioned is here, so Surah 26, Ayat 139 of Al-Quran is going to be where we start. And فَكَذَّبُوهُ فَأَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. فَكَذَّبُوهُ فَأَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. It's easier to chant it. But yeah, because I said noon. I should have said noon, but I said ta. They denied him, therefore we destroyed them. Certainly herein is a portent, yet most of you do not believe. An interesting thing, as opposed to what's generally said about believe, as Surah 23 indicates, believing is not just some empty statement or just saying you believe and then moving on. So we had sort of the reference to the adversarial reaction against the message in the past couple programs of this, in terms of the verse that we had, and then this one, it's the result of such. You're not going to get all the answers in one verse. That's certainly true. So, and Deuteronomy. I'm not reading the Aramaic. I could, when these programs get shorter of variety to say, I may start reserving Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Okay, Deuteronomy. 3:16. One of the better 3:16s in the Bible, much better than that in John. is that in Deuteronomy. And unto the Reubenites, and unto the Gadites, I gave from Gilead, even unto the river Ammon, half the valley and the border, even the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon. Interesting correlation that you can draw between the children of Ammon and the sons of darkness, and some, is it the sons of darkness? And well, anyways, the Ammonites did some. There was some interesting stuff that you find in the Bible related to Ammonites. I think I talked about that in my Gnostic and Christian Satanism series. So 1 Kings 22:35. Oh, it's just right at the end. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even, and the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. Some hardcore stuff right there. Daniel. Why the Christians put a different order for their Old Testament than tonic, I don't actually know. Be interesting to find out. But Daniel 5:27. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance, and are found wanting. Well, I don't think so. Who's weighing us? But I think the translation there. I think perhaps there's some issues with that. Wahum shirtim, wahum shirtim, wahum shirtim, and the minister, and the minister, and the minister. I need to change a battery and a smoke alarm, it sounds like. I'm not using actual phrases from the Bible, but I'm using words from the Bible to render new meaning. Amamon pediutas kakapatho, without an instructor of endurance. Anablepsase. Okay, that's not. Anablepsase. Upsarion. Morion. Receive fish in foolishness. Dedio Gimenoi. Sampasia. Peristeros. Persecute the company of the dove. Well, you don't always want to persecute such a community, but certainly that's a phrase that comes up, so you gotta control your meaning when it comes to these things and what you do about them. But I was looking at the number, and the number told me. Well, the number tells you a lot of stuff. Epoch Ilan Ethelamenos Apelusasta. Run, leap, wash. Apodakatun Santelaya Paran Akline. Pay to end trouble. And when things are wrong, certainly. Oh, okay. I, in a way, had a climax to the series. Purple, 2017. Didn't Prince die in 2016? So 2017 was the first year without Prince, or was 2017 the year that Prince died? I think it was 2016. I may not personally like all of his songs and certain messages that came up in his songs, but you really can't deny the sheer musical skill of Prince. As far as popular musicians, I don't think there was anybody at that time that, at the time that he was popular, that had that sheer level of skill. Now, there were better guitar players, few and far between actually, and other musical instrument players or singers and dancers, but putting them all together like that, because he was certainly at a professional level with all of those, and he could do his own music. He didn't need to. Although some people, it's like Nirvana covers some songs. Kurt tended to make Wipers songs and other things better. So. But the musical skill did not have the level of musical skill as Prince. And orchestrating. Kurt was good at orchestrating, but Prince was even better at it. You cannot fool me. Stick your tongue at I cut it off. Rule 46 in your Skull and Bones book. In the end, you wicked devil, as incinerated. Fake Jews are not of Jupiter. And remember, in tonic, Thade, Dalet, Af, and Hey is translated as righteousness and as Jupiter. But I wouldn't go so far as to say fake Jews. Okay, 90 to 95% of Jews, it's well established, have no Semitic ancestry. But that's not what makes a Jew. When the term Judaism appeared, it was Jewish ways. It wasn't necessarily, this is in tonic, so this is what the Jews do. Or here's an interpretation or derivative measure, this because of this, because of this, because of this, of tonic. So therefore, and by derivative, it's not necessarily bad. Scholarly is perfectly fine. Scholastic philosophy is most of what I do. Don't mean to insult anybody by saying that they are working on something that someone else has done before. I said that yesterday, though, but now there is a certain derivative that I do say, some issues with. It's like, I do say the Shia and the Sufi and the Salafi Sali kind of go into the same issues, that the first three generations being the best, so the Salafi Sali try to justify too far the first few generations. The Shia, the Sufis look at the fact that Muhammad had 60 people. Once he was chosen by people who did not believe he was a prophet as a leader of Medina, one of the things that he ended up implementing is 70 people in a position of authority at all times. But that doesn't mean that everything that links to those individuals is automatically the spiritual authority. That's not actually directly claimed. And it's not really bringing anything new to the table, but bring up this list of people. It is bringing something new, but it's not, it's not necessary, and we've already made the point that's been said. The close disciples, the Ali ibn Talib and such like this, yes, Ali ibn Talib was given more positions of authority according to Sunni narrations than anybody else, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't, as Shia narrations indicate, that the caliphate was to be chosen among, so Muhammad did not set up the exact individuals who would rule, who would be in the caliphate, but I mean, there's merits to the teachings, but it goes too far and pulls things out. But going to get burned alive in every incarnated life. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When it comes to the whole reincarnation thing, one of the clearest things is not only at the moments that I've left it open to myself that the answer has always been I was never incarnated before and I'll never be incarnated again, and in a physical body, and that way of thinking. And I've never seen it necessary to explain anything, so. But that's sort of a curse that would go over Obamacare to abort white Christian babies for evil's sake. And I believe I mentioned in the last number one is that, okay, people have different backgrounds of what could be called race. But just throwing that part in there is, yeah, it doesn't sound right. It kind of, the people may not be racist. It may be just a cultural thing that they've been exposed to. Certainly, I've seen a lot of more prejudice against the whites in my lifetime, but that doesn't mean there's some institutionalized. That doesn't mean that everything is against the white people or something like that. They are less likely to be shot by police when encountering the police. If the people who aren't white, overall, you see less of that, despite higher crime rates amongst some groups. But again, everything's not some plot to exterminate the whites. People are just, they don't want to be seen as prejudiced. That's it. They planned to make me evil to keep power. Whatever people's plans are for you, you're responsible for what you decide to do. If Satan or God has a plan, well, which plan are you going to choose if obviously this plan involves your decisions? America kicked God out and installed Baphomet as their leader. God is no longer in power in America. He left as requested. Just as the Beyond Lemuria preacher compiled actual sayings from preachers, or things that preachers were saying at the time, the type of things. So it was a pretty accurate representation. Baphomet, as the god of this world and age, is an idea that is, the Order of Nine Angles and related groups material is something that I've seen there. Temple of Blood doesn't go into Baphomet as much as other ONA related derived groups, but yeah. But Baphomets, I think, are a species. And part of this is because I had an experience. And I don't think that all the species of jinn are evil. The Baphomet I encountered during that earthquake, I didn't know it was an earthquake. When you're having a vision, it doesn't really pan out that way. But it was pretty chill. I didn't have to summon it up. That's the whole thing, is like the experiences you have without ever calling on these various entities can be quite... The serpents deserve what is coming to them. So these people are casting out their own faith in their condemnation. You got to be careful in, the Baphomet statement, because obviously, just like the Christian myth that Satan was tricked out of control and sin was defeated, it's like, well, things are worse than ever. But, a real ruler of this world wouldn't be tricked, a real ruler of a land, just because it's not accepted. It's like people say, when popularity ratings drop on a certain poll, it may be up to 90% in some other poll, but if they drop less than 51%, we should impeach whoever the leader is. It's like, that's not how it works. They still could be the rightful leader. And it's shown you don't need more than 20% of the people to properly rule a country. Heaven's queen and deadly hand of heavenly fate. So some people are going to say Barbalos, some people are going to say Mary, some people are going to say Babylon, some people are going to say whatever, but in a monotheist point of view, we're not having all the, it's just God sends angels and stuff to be the means. It doesn't mean that, it's their role, well, they may have roles. This one blows the trumpet, these ones do rain, whatever, but the Queen of Heaven talk is a bit too far, but perhaps the Catholics are going to let that one. The 139th day in 1954. If enough people see that, that's going to mean something, right? That's going to be something to someone. A wealthy Freemasons in high-level politics, Sri Swami Vishwanda. The thing about Freemasons is their personal lives are their personal lives. What they do in the lodge, But just because city planning and national monuments and stuff have been built by Freemasons doesn't mean there's some Freemason plot. Saturn is the source of the corruption in the heavens. Well, the heavens are pretty big, but back in the days, people did demonize planets and stuff like this. So this is, but there's supposed to be a spiritual gateway or two out in the rings of Saturn. The moment I shook her hand, I knew she was a dude. The differences between the gender go a lot further than people realize they do. And we need to stop pulling out this homophobic stereotypes and gender stereotypes like they're absolutes. And, this must mean you're really, it's like, you're too artistic, also, I have opinions on women's clothing. It doesn't mean that I'm really a woman or something. What colors and styles and whatnot look best on certain colors and shapes of women. That doesn't mean at all that I'm somehow homosexual or, in fact, it really implies that I'm not. I mean by itself. Okay. They are so wicked that they must be erased. And let's all remember the song Eraser by 9 Inch Nails. But no, people want to erase the influence of evil or wickedness. That makes sense, but this hatred of human beings, I'm not going to go there. They still think that they have a right to look into minds. Well, nothing wrong with psychology, but thinking you have to know everybody's secrets, no, not quite. And I guess my saying, how it was awkward when I end up doing things on this channel and get into it, it's like, people don't know how I feel. They don't know any spiritual experience that I'm having if it happens in the middle of what I'm doing. But I'm wanting people to join in what I'm doing. I want them to perhaps give me understanding that I'm not personally having. But, I used to hold groups and have rituals and stuff. I just think of online as that sort of thing. I'm not betraying any secrets that I feel are not to be betrayed. If I was married, there'd be certain things I wouldn't talk about that would have to do with my spouse. Okay. Satan is okay, really? Okay, and claim it's holy. Oh, Satanists really do cannibalize innocent people and claim it's holy. It's nowhere near as common as you would think it would be. I mean, some people are going to think it's going to be. Um, I, the city where I spent most of my life, before I was there, there was somebody who did like 4 satanic killings or something like that, and there was and there was a couple people that I met actually that were suspected of such. Now they were convicted on a series of crimes, but not that they did any ritual murders. There wasn't any proof brought forward about that. There was it was suspected that they may have been responsible for something like that, but they don't know. But honestly, ritual killings are more likely to be Christians, and they use the Bible to support them in that. But again, most Christians don't. So let's not jump to conclusions about people. Satanists are those who perform a particular type of satanic mass. It's like, no. Welcome from the land of milk and honey. Oh, we come from the land of milk and honey, looking for love, and LUV is how that's spelt there. They are not women, but are snakes in human clothing. Didn't I share about there was this woman who said that talking about snakes is like, woman, you are the snake. And that's not always a bad thing. With her apparently it was, but the righteous with the sinners must not perish. Now we are all white. Okay, well. So the screen, just like the Atma, it goes blank. The ideas of soul and spirit that people have aren't, they aren't quite what's being talked about when we talk about the basis, that thing that goes beyond the physical body, goes beyond the mind, as people would call it. The if you've experienced it, there's no denying the spirit soul element, but the way that people talk about a spirit soul, really, the screen goes blank. It's somehow the operator, and these other things are just, like diagrams upon it. But we also, the racial culture and stuff like this is pretty much going away. Well, it's coming back, going away, whatever.